We are going to go to the moon. I've also, between episodes, which was not recorded, I ran some random tourist missions and stuff just to complete that. But we have tons of missions to go to the moon. Plant flag on the moon. Science data from space around the moon. Moon landing, for example. So we got lots of mooner kind of things going on. Also, we are going to try to use the KOS script that we wrote. I made a video for that. I got like a lander script for it. I did not use that to land on Minmus. So this is going to be our first test. We're going to try a completely hands-off landing on the moon. We'll see if it works. Flamebeard, thank you very much for the resub. Yeah, sound should be working. If it's not, hopefully people are refreshing and it should be okay. So I have a moon ship designed and built. Currently on the launch pad. Hopefully it's the right one. We're going to find out. Should we go to morning first? Nah, night launches are pretty spectacular too. Let's lunch. And we're going to fly with a pilot. I said my personal rules, we will have a pilot. I have gone and renamed our people after subscribers. So Lamfair here has lots of experience. We're going to go and spread that around. We're going to get Nev09 over here, my other pilot currently here. We're going to get him or her some experience. Battle Hunter with the resub. Thank you very much, Battle Hunter. Always sending me little messages in the tip jar. So that is looking all right. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. The contract pack you've installed have separate missions for landing manned and with a probe. Yes. Yes, it does. The current set of missions I have right now, other than the fact that one of the missions is to plant a flag, does not actually require me to land with a manned ship. I could do this unmanned. So we've got this. One of the other things that between episodes that you guys haven't seen is because the science thing was sort of wonky. Because I played the game for a little while without all the mods correctly installed, and now I do have them in here. Some of the unlocks weren't proper. So what I did is I actually opened up the save, and I deleted all my tech unlocks. I basically reset my tech tree down to 0. Then I came into the game, and I gave myself enough science points to re-unlock all the techs that I had unlocked before. I think I got them all right. And so all of our tech should now be unlocked properly. However, it does mean I legit do not have fuel lines yet. Fuel lines in with the mods I have installed are way late in the tree, so we still don't have that. That being said, this ship is in has got lots of juice even as is. It's a little unoptimal because we actually are going to bring like everything you see here is going to hit orbit. We're actually not going to stage until we hit orbit. I actually have to alter my things a little bit just because I actually don't need to stage these at all. I designed it. They still have those decouplers in there, but this stage here and these stages here will all actually run out at the same time, which is kind of interesting that it sort of works out that way. So I'm just going to take stage 6 and move it to the top because it's irrelevant, and then this stage will launch then, which is good, and then that stage will separate, and then we'll use the 2 side things, which is good. And then these decouplers, and actually everything else that happens, we're not really going to be manually staging. So everything above stage 5 is stuff we're not going to be hitting the spacebar for. So we do have our lander here. It's also bringing 2 satellites. Now we don't have a mission to throw satellites in orbit around the moon or anything, but I figure since I'm going there, let's bring a couple of mini satellites anyway. Plus it'll be relatively convenient to do so. I think we're all set up. We're going to have full throttle. I do have I've got 3 probe cores technically, 1 on each satellite plus the one in the middle. I will be using the flight computer as much as possible to work things out here. We're going to lock the flight computer to full up vertical, and we're going to hit the gas. Now when I do, since this is another super long rocket, it's likely to lurch in one side or another, but it should very quickly start to straighten up. It doesn't have much in the way of reaction wheels, but it does have the gimbling engines, so there'll be a moment of fear, but I think it should be okay. For those of you on YouTube who have actually seen my Minmus landing, this is very similar to the Minmus lander, except it's got a little bit more fuel, because you need a bit more delta V to land and return from the moon. And the mini satellites now have reaction wheels. which we didn't have in the last one. The engine on my mini satellites apparently don't gimbal, so they can't actually steer unless they have the reaction wheel. So I think we're going to be okay. All right. Nev is in there. First person takeoff. I don't think we'll get enough value out of that because this thing doesn't have much in the way of vision and we don't have any external cameras going on. So I think we'll get a better view this way. Looks like we just got a tip from Battle Hunter. Can't stay today. So the quote of the day from Civ 5. A good rule for rocket experiments is to follow this. Always assume that it will explode. Well, rocket launch is basically just a controlled explosion. Oh shit, that's gorgeous. Look at that! That actually lifted off a lot smoother than I thought. A lot smoother than I expected. I really thought it was going to lurch to one side. I'm pretty sure when I did my min-mist launch it did. But maybe I have something slightly different in my structure. You Moorsman, thank you very much for the sub. Alright, we're closing in on 100 meters per second, which is when I like to do my 10-degree gravity turn, which I will do now. Like so. And we'll hold that for a little while and then go into surface prograde, which by pointing surface prograde, you should never run into the situation where you flip around too much, even with as poorly aerodynamic of a ship as I have here, for example. Plus, that's the way you sort of do a proper gravity turn. Now, I'm going to go ahead and start throttling down here. Our speed is still climbing, but I want to make sure not to start to get too many drag effects, because we're very not aerodynamic at all. Because our total thrust weight is over 2 at this point. I mean, we are burning a lot of fuel. And again, we don't have any real staging going on. We want to go into surface prograde at this point. So it will tip over a little bit. With a long rocket like this, sometimes it can be a little scary because sometimes it can sort of tip over too fast. But I think we're going to be okay. All right, I'm going to start to throttle up again. We're starting to get a little thinner atmosphere. Hey! Gorash! With the donation for liftoff. Thank you very much, Gorash. Indeed, liftoff. We are... I think we're going to be good. I don't like to be beyond 45 degrees at 90, or 45 degrees at the 15,000 mark, actually. So it looks like we're coming in a little steeper than our target, which is okay. With a ship like this, I'm okay with that sort of thing. Speed is continuing to climb. Wow, my frame rate is not climbing, though. Holy crap. It'll improve pretty dramatically once we get rid of all this nonsense down here. Yeah, and we are getting drag effects, even though I'm still running at about 2/3 throttle. I'll go ahead and slow us down a wee bit here. Okay. We're still accelerating. And the hope is just that we don't accelerate so fast that we run into so much drag. If we keep accelerating as the air keeps thinning out, and hopefully we're staying sort of at terminal velocity here. This is not aerodynamic enough for us to really want to break the sound barrier. And the speed of sound, I believe, goes up as the atmosphere thins out. Or at least, I don't know, maybe not, but at least terminal velocity and that sort of shock barrier is. So again, we're continuing this sort of slow gravity turn. We really could pitch over quite a bit more. Time to apoapsis is climbing. And really, it's a little high right now. A little higher than you might want for a perfectly optimal gravity turn. But it's okay. Once we get to 30,000, we are still gravity turning, though. Once we get past 30,000 is always my rule of thumb for it. The air is thin enough that you can start being a little bit more aggressive. So I will do that. Rather than me surface prograde, I will lock us to about 30 degrees. So we're going to pitch towards the horizon. And we're still accelerating, even though I'm not at full thrust. It actually just changed us to orbital mode here. Time to apoapsis is still climbing. I think I'll go ahead and pitch down even closer to the atmosphere. Or to the horizon. Okay. Everything's still looking very sturdy. We'll go completely sideways. And yeah, so we're going to be a little steeper than a perfectly optimal gravity turn, but it ain't bad. And when our apoapsis is closing in at around 100,000, I'll go ahead and kill the engine. We'll let it go just a little over 100 because we're still in the atmosphere, so we'll lose a little bit, but not much. And we'll call that good enough. So it's going to drift down a bit. But I'm pretty happy with that. Again, not as flat as it could be, but I'm not going to complain too much. Night Bomber, the reason I haven't used FAR is mostly because I have to design a ship that is very different from how other people have to design ships visually. And yeah, I'm using a lot of mods that not everyone is using, but at least like the aerodynamics are relatively consistent. A lot of people, I had FAR for a while, and a lot of people gave feedback that they would prefer not to use FAR since it doesn't really add to gameplay and it just makes it a little bit more confusing for the videos. Most of the mods I use are a little bit more explicit in terms of what's going on. Actually, shoot, this is not the right ship. This is absolutely not the correct ship. I think this is my ship that's the Minmus lander. I may have loaded the wrong save, because I was about to talk about the life support mod. Apparently we can get a little science here. I was about to talk about the life support mod. And in my actual ship that I want to use for it, it had a different component in the middle. I hope we have enough delta V. The solar particles is such a pain in the ass, because I want to get solar particle information around the moon. I'm going to try to get to my antenna over here. Around the moon. So I guess I'll transmit this one. Activate this. Oh, I could hit the 1 key to deploy all my solar panels. Nice. Review data. Let's transmit that science. Electric charge is okay. Dropping because we are in the shade, but that's okay. We are a little over 1 minute to apoapsis. We have lots of fuel left in this stage, and this stage has really good thrust to weight, so we're not actually going to have to burn very long to circularize. Oh yeah, fairings are stock as of 1.0. We could have used fairings, but this is such an awkward shape that I'm not sure it would have won out on us. I could have reverted back. Whatever, let's go. What could possibly go wrong? Rescue mission? Yeah, it's going to be really dicey. I don't know if this is the right one. Well, hopefully we'll end up with lots of fuel left in this stage, so we can use this to kill our horizontal velocity as much as possible. Maybe even use it for our slowdown on re-entry at the moon. We're going to have to cross our fingers. There we go. Solar panel. Oh, no. And then don't keep that. We don't care about it. Okay, the moon is behind us. We are going to be doing one full orbit. Damn, I thought I had everything set up right in this save. Apparently this is the save. It had the slightly wrong ship. Sure, we'll be okay. It does have... Does it have rotation wheels? Okay, it has the reaction wheels on this, so it's not the exact model that I used to land on Minmus. But I know it's not the final design for my moon one. We're going to need way less than 20 seconds. Oh, you should be in orbital prograde. But yeah, we're going to need way less than 20 seconds to circularize, I'm positive. I'll start to burn with like 10 seconds left, and it should be more than enough. And go. Some of the delta V numbers are a bit confused because we are hauling some extra satellites that have their own engines. But also, we're going to be jettisoning them. As soon as we're in the moon sphere of influence, what we're going to do is we're going to jettison the satellites. So we'll lose a little bit of weight. That makes sense. Because what I was going to do is I was going to get into a basic orbit with this rocket and then jettison the satellites. But the satellites have tons of delta V. So I think it'll be better if I jettison them first. And then this becomes a little bit lighter for my actual entry into lunar orbit. So that's going to be okay. All right, we are circularized. We're in a nice, safe orbit around Kerbal. Let me quick save here before I change screens and things. Always worried about the occasional crash. So, you can eyeball the trip to the moon very simply. You set it at 12 o'clock, and then you can time warp to right around here. Basically, what you're going to do is as soon as the moon rises above the horizon of Kerbal, it means you burn and you go. You can totally just eyeball this bad boy. We have very little inclination, which is good because the moon is basically equatorial to Kerbal. So we're going to warp to here. Again, we just quick saved. Always quick save before you change ships and before you time warp. Because every now and again, if you click on like the wrong part or the wrong orbit, especially if you have maneuvers and things set up, something very wacky can happen. So you never want that to happen. We got our nice little satellite network here. We are using RemoteTech for that. We're using the TAC life support mod. And we're using the UKS colonization system. UKS has its own life support system as well, but we are using the TAC one just because it's a little more interesting that it's got food, water, and oxygen as opposed to just one type of meal. All right, so this is going to slowly, very slowly, because we don't have any reaction wheels in the back, try to face prograde. Hopefully we're going to have enough time. We should have plenty of time. Oh, crap, the moon's already rising. I shouldn't have warped so far. Now, it will rotate a lot faster if I turn the engines on, but then we'd be losing some of our delta V. Still, this is going to be fine. It's a little less than ideal, because we should be burning right now. But, on the bright side, we have tons of thrust weight in this stage. Not as much in the next one. But hopefully it'll work out for the difference. Cross our fingers. We have 250 delta V left in this, which is pretty good, because I wasn't really counting on necessarily having that left over. On the other hand, I was counting on having a little bit more delta V in my lander stages. Come on, finish the turn, finish the turn, finish the turn. Go, 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 go. And actually, you know, don't try to pause, because that'll try to kill it. And now, lock to orbital prograde, and you are go for burn. And then we will have to stage momentarily. Stages are correct, yes. Indeed. And go. Okay, so this is a Terrier engine, very, very fuel efficient, although it doesn't have a whole lot of oomph. It's also pushing a lot of weight, so right now, it's going to accelerate relatively slowly. But we're going to push out our orbit to around here. There should be a Mooner encounter somewhere very close to that. Why is your Kerbal ComSat network so wonky? It's not... Actually, yeah, they did drift. It's because I didn't have them on exactly the same... Actually, I know why it is. Because they were very close. They shouldn't have drifted that much. I have noticed a couple of glitches when I'm on the ground and I use the Kerbal construction time and I say warp to completion and it goes to something like 100,000 times speed. Even though it only warps for a couple of hours, it completely screws up my orbits. Actually, in one of my test games, I was returning from the moon to Kerbal. Perfectly fine. Nothing in the way. It was clear. I was going to go from the moon to Kerbal. Everything was groovy. And then I went to the space center, and I did, like, again, time warp, like, an hour in-game time. Okay? But it knocked it up to, like, times 100,000. And then when I came back, my spaceship was going out of the solar system. So every time you do a time warp from the space center at too fast a rate, it will wonkify all your orbits. Which, I only recently discovered. So it's a bit disappointing. And that's probably what happened here. I mean, I know they weren't on exactly the same orbital time, and that might be all there is, but there definitely is the math, like the approximations and the math gets worse if you go at like times 100,000 speed. So maybe don't do that. Maybe don't do that. But they weren't on exactly the same thing. They still have some delta V, so I can still adjust them, but so far we're okay. Very slowly pushing our orbit out. And our thrust to weight in the stage, not the greatest. Again, it would have been incentive for us starting our burn a little bit sooner than we did. Go, 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 go. You can do it. Alright, it is going to start to speed up now, the further out it goes. In fact, I'll probably want to slow down because I really want to just touch the Mooner intercept and then make some adjustments. Slow down, slow down, slow down, stop. Okay, we're going to quick save before we change our focus, although this probably wouldn't crash. There we go. So here's our encounter now. If we give it a little bit of prograde, we're going to make this tighter. A little bit more. We're going to try to bring it down to ideally about 25K. Now again, with the fast forwards and stuff, every now and again you discover that your orbit has randomly changed during the sphere of influence modification. So tell you what, I'll leave it a little higher. We'll call it 30K. And frankly, when I do my deorbit, since I'm not going to be doing it exactly the periapsis, most likely the peri will drop a little bit as well. But there we go. We've got our solar panels out. We don't have to hold any particular rotation. Yeah, I'm really worried this is not going to be enough delta V. Again, we'll see what happens when we drop the satellites. Technically, I could drop them now. They're all going to enter the moon orbit. But if I do it now, the separatrons or the decouplers will actually change my position a tiny bit. And so I'd rather not modify my orbit right now. Let's hope. Let's hope we got enough. Again, this is not my final ship design. I can't remember what I did. I don't know. Maybe I didn't do anything. I know I changed the life support setup. And I think what I did is it trimmed a little bit of weight off. I don't know if I added more fuel tanks. I feel like I might have. Because this is not a very light lander. Okay, so again, we're going to quick save before we time warp. And go to the sphere of influence change. And no, we don't want any solar particle information. Okay, that should be last time it interrupts there. Because I'm going to grab it from high moon orbit. Because you can't, as far as I can tell, the solar panel thing doesn't reset properly, or you can't capture it, or there was something weird. Can't remember what it was, but there was something weird. Yes, and you can change the decouple power, but I actually want to eject the satellites away. And there's no reason to decouple them here. And if I decouple them once I'm in lunar orbit, it's not really going to modify too much. Oh, the space bus is completing. I just want to keep an extra one of those around, one of my passenger buses, because I'll probably do more tourist runs in the future. So I was like, let's pre-build one. It's not the end of the world. Actually, I can go warp like this, because the game, even without an alarm, will automatically drop me. Electric charge running out. Really? Oh, Kerbal, you're eclipsing me. Okay, but that's fine. The electric charge is just running out now, and the sun's going to peak around. Running out of electric charge with the life support mods is bad, because you need electricity to pump your oxygen. So we have depleted our electric charge. The sun's not out yet. Not out yet. Oh, come on. Oh, thank God. I should have packed some extra batteries. Wow. Okay, I think you can last about an hour without the electric charge, at which point I think it kills you from lack of oxygen. There's always a little bit of an extra margin for error because of your spacesuit, is the way I look at it, but yeah. Okay, we can time warp a little bit more. And the game should have brought it down to times 50 automatically. Guess we weren't that close yet. It's getting paranoid. You don't want a sphere of influence change too fast in any case, because again, it can wonkify all your orbits. Just sit back and wait.